Hey everybody, Dual666 here. I know I usually wait a little bit longer between updates, but I have been in Facebook jail, so I haven't really been making any videos. There's no way for me to promote right now. Just got out last night, so I'll be posting up links all night after I get done with this. Got the Indestructible Man going on right here. Classic, classic, classic. And I've got a very, very large update for you guys. So, let's get here. Open up one of these bubblies that I've become so fond of. Cheers, everybody. The first thing I want to talk about, however, I just got back from my sister's house. They gave us a call earlier and said that they wanted us to have something that they found for us. I didn't really know what to expect. I was pretty happy when I found out that it was this, though. I guess we'll show one at a time. They're basically just these little foam boards with prints on them. There's the first one. It's Nightmare Before Christmas. It's one of my wife's favorite movies of all time. I'm obviously a pretty big fan of it as well. It's a really cool print. Let me see if I can get it a little closer there. Really cool. I'm going to put these up somewhere in here. Alright, so that's the first one. And we'll do this one next. This one's really, really cool. This is one of my favorite films of all time. Absolutely adore Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Really, really sick art on this one. And it's actually got all the credits as well, like a legitimate movie poster on the side there. So this is really, really cool. Super stoked to have that. Alright, and this last one here. This is definitely the coolest one. This is the film that me and my wife love together the most. Not my favorite horror movie of all time, but literally the film that me and my wife cherish the most together. Trick or Treat from 2007. Sam's badass, little self on there. Super, super high quality prints on this. Really happy to have it. Don't know if I want to frame them or not. Might just stick them up somewhere as of now, but may go into framing them eventually. So, thank you to my sisters Ilea and Daisy that picked those up. Love you guys. See you guys soon. And we're going to go ahead and get right into this, guys. Have a couple VHSs. I know I don't normally do VHSs in these updates, but I found a couple. The last time we did a haul video, I had mentioned that we'd hit some record shops in the swap meet. This came out of that same day. I forgot to mention them. The Abyss. Total classic. I actually don't have a DVD of this yet, but of course I've seen it. This is a super badass movie. I don't have a VHS player right now that works either. So VHSs, like I said, I'm not collecting quite as quickly or abundantly. But still, when you find really cool stuff, especially like this, we have Red Dragon. You gotta pick it up. It's just so cheap nowadays. There's absolutely no excuse not to. If you're a collector. So yeah. Those are the two VHSs I've got for this update. I'll try to make a note of, including more VHSs in the future. Alright, let's get into some DVDs. Most of these are dollar store DVDs. This one's Defective. The disc itself is not defective. Obviously, the title is Defective. This was pretty fun. E1 Entertainment. It's kind of hit and miss here and there. But this was definitely not a really bad film or anything. Had some good fun with this one. Very, dystopian, sort of, almost like RoboCop-ish sort of shit, but not quite. It's pretty fun, though. Next one here, we have High Voltage. This movie had a really interesting plot and premise. I don't know. The pacing was weird. The acting was off a little bit here and there. And honestly, not too much happens. They could have made that final scene really something, and they just kind of implied it instead. So, kind of a swing and a miss on this one, but not a total bust or anything. It wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen, obviously. So, check it out if you must. Put these down here so we have more room. All right. This is another cheesy little thing here. It was pretty fun. It was a lot better than I thought it would be. American Poltergeist. Damn, is this thing not focusing well? I can barely see the artwork on some of these. But this was pretty fun. It wasn't terrible, the worst thing I've ever seen at all either. It's kind of got like a Lizzie Borden sort of plot line, but you know, there's not much going on here. You know, yet another swing and miss, but not a total bust. This one was a bit more fun, a little more low budget, and just all out cheese fest. But you know, you can't go wrong with these zombie films of that caliber, because it doesn't take too much to make a pretty fun zombie movie. It's hard to fuck that up, you know. So, Dead Don't Die in Dallas. This was a lot of fun. You should definitely be on the lookout for that. All right. Next one is Devil's Mile. This was a strange, like, ghost story, kidnapping movie gone awry sort of plotline, weird thing. There's definitely some really cheesy bad effects. It's definitely grasping at strings. Like, it should have been cut down a lot. This would have been really fun if it was maybe like 70 minutes. But I believe this goes, yeah, this is pretty much a 90-minute film. And it just, oh, I was waiting for it to be over for sure, you know, in that last half hour. I was like, it can't go much longer, right? But not the worst thing I've ever seen. It is what it is. This one is more of like a haunted house, possession sort of movie. That's not really my forte. Usually I'm not big into that. Like, I like classical haunted house movies from the, you know, 30s through the 50s and 60s. That's really my forte. When it comes to possession and exorcism movies, they're not really my thing, especially more modern ones. But this one was pretty solid for what it was. You know, not terribly cheesy or anything. The ghosts or demons or whatever the fuck they are pretty damn creepy, you know. Fun time. Dwelling. Alright. I've been finding more and more of these BBC releases as well at Dollar Tree. So, I, you know, picked up a few of them. The last one I had was, I think it was called Clay, and it was pretty dry. Not even, you know, specifically horror. This one really isn't either. This is like sci-fi comedy horror, really. But this is Save Our Skins, SOS. Pretty funny. Still kind of dry and not fantastic or anything. It's kind of bonkers for the most part. But it's alright. It had me laughing a little bit here and there. So check it out if you must. Alright, I watched this one quite a while ago. I was pretty drunk, I must admit. It was before I quit drinking. And I don't know why. I just hated it. It was not very good the first time I watched it. And I rewatched it recently, and it turns out that it's actually a little bit better than I would have been led to believe in my inebriated state. This is actually pretty decent. There's some good kills and gore and stuff. The plot lines, you know, grasping at strings, you know, but it was pretty fun. Little Dead Rotting Hood. Check that one out. This one is a total cheese fest, and honestly, I was not expecting it at all. The acting in this is absolutely fantastic. Like, for what it lacks in anything else, the acting is just so incredibly, like, real. Like, these guys look absolutely insane through most of it. They descend, you know, into madness as they play this ancient board game sort of looking thing. It was pretty fun, honestly. Like, definitely could have done with some cutting down. But there's some fun kills, and honestly, just like, it was pretty damn original. I really liked it. This is 13 Demons. Alright. You guys know that I went and paid my favorite record store a final visit before they closed down. I got this at Record Alley out in the desert recently. This is a Jenna Jameson starring role sort of thing here. So you know already that it's going to be a total cheese fest. Luckily, it makes up for the horrible acting and lack of a plot, basically, with plenty of gore and brutality. Like, it was pretty fun. Also, this one is quite well paced because it's not a very long running time. It's 78 minutes long. So, you know, in and out. Easy peasy, you know, just a fun little creature flick. So, check that out. Alright. As I said, these E1 releases are kind of hit and miss for me. So I tend to not, you know, go in expecting too much. But this, while not totally really a horror movie, it's more of like a psychological character study sort of thing. But this was actually really, really good. I liked this a lot. I don't really want to mention too much about the plot. And honestly, this could have done being a bit shorter as well. Most of these really cheesy bad movies can, you know, they could do with a little bit of cutting. But this one's really like the least cheesy out of most of the ones I've acquired recently. It's broken. It's about a caretaker taking this chick. She's a caretaker for this paraplegic kind of guy, and he's super miserable, and he's making her life miserable, and there's other things going on that complicate it, and it just gets really intense and really bleak, honestly. And the acting is really, really good, honestly, as well. So, kind of a surprise. 3.5 stars out of 5 for E1 there. Fun stuff. This next one, I think this was also like a dollar store pickup, but it's not, your typical releasing companies. This is from High Windows and Glass Eye Pix and Sony Entertainment. I can't really read the other two production companies that are on this, but this turned out to be pretty brutal. Psychopaths. Acting's pretty decent in it for the most part. There's tons of sheer brutality and cool kills in it. Just and a fairly original premise, a bunch of serial killers. Sorry, good lord, bunch of serial killers kind of converge together over the course of a night or so, and just start picking each other off, and it's totally maniacal. It's a pretty fun ride. Check that one out. Okay, I only have a couple of Blu-rays this time. I'm definitely not picking those up as often as I am DVDs because, let's face it, they're just not as accessible or cheap. But this one I actually got for Christmas. My parents got it for me. I guess they just went and picked up, a few things that were out that looked cool. So I wasn't expecting too much when I put this on. And I didn't go into it reading any reviews or anything. I just kind of let it speak for itself. Oh my goodness, this turned out to be one of the most effective films I've ever seen. It literally blew my wife's mind to pieces. She was severely affected after this film was over. And I go online and I see so much hate for it, that it was such a boring flick and that there's just nothing to admire about it. I have no clue what these people are talking about, because this film was balls to the wall, scary and nihilistic and totally soul draining and fucking... there's nothing I can say about it that will do it justice. You must go see this, The Dark and the Wicked. I believe this just came out... Yeah, just this last year, 2020. Do yourself a favor. If you like slow burns with absolutely dreadful, existential dread-filled, just suspense, and you never... There's no way to describe it. You must go see it. You must pick it up, stream it, whatever you have to do. This film is worth viewing. You should definitely check this out. Alright, and the only other Blu-ray I have here is a Steelbook. Gonna open it up, see if there's anything worth viewing inside. No, not really. Just says, meat's meat and a man's gotta eat. So this, if you don't catch my drift there, this is the Steelbook Blu-ray release of Motel Hell. Total classic 80s slasher film with some pretty funny comedy elements. It's just a total cheesy ride. It's one of my favorites, though. It's something that I had been wanting to pick up for a long time. I actually just acquired it in a double pack with Deranged, one of the classic midnight movies releases from MGM. But it turns out that it's just become one of my favorite films, to the point that I saw this Blu-ray sometime back and I said, well, screw it, I'm gonna have to get that one. That's really, really fucking cool artwork. You open it up all the way. You can see the whole thing there. Yeah. If you haven't seen Motel Hell, do yourself a favor and just fucking watch it. It's so much fun. This is a badass film, and I'm super happy to have a Steelbook for it. Alright, gonna get back to some DVDs now. Got quite a few more, though, so don't worry. We have a lot of films to talk about still. Like I said, I'm gonna be doing a big update because I have been dying to get back to you guys and talk about films. So there's Slender Man. Not to be confused with the film Slender, which is also another Slender Man film, which was also pretty decent. It's more of a found footage sort of thing. This one is more of an actual, film. It's not a found footage sort of thing. For a PG-13 movie, this is surprisingly creepy and well done. The acting is a bit subpar, honestly, and the plot line is, leaves a bit to be desired. But in terms of just creepiness and not overdoing it with the really dumb CGI effects, this was actually a pretty fun ride. Slender Man. Go. You wet the palette a little bit too. Alright. Got my cats down here and they're having a ball, fucking each other up. Alright, this next one here, Indigenous. This is basically like a rip-off of The Descent or The Cave. Except the things come out of this cave, but for the most part the movie is not in the cave at all. So there's not really this crushing atmosphere of like claustrophobia or anything. These creatures are definitely violent and fucking creepier than hell, and there's some good kills, and it's not bad at all. But it doesn't really stand the test of time against like films that are already in this vein, like The Descent or The Cave. Still, not a bad film. Was definitely worth watching. You should check it out as well. Alright. Got a really cool thriller here called Cold Creek Manor. I didn't really know much about this. It's got, Dennis Quaid and Sharon Stone, Stephen Dorff. This came out, I think, in the 90s? Yeah, 1995, I believe. Could be wrong. Definitely not really much of a horror film. More of a really psycho thriller sort of thing. But pretty damn good plot. Incredible acting. Honestly, this was a total fucking gem of a find. I'm not really so much for the non-horror thrillers, but this one really, really just drives it home. This was a pretty damn good film. And I love when I find stuff in such good condition that's used like this too, because it's just pristine, honestly. Alright. Got something from Blumhouse. I believe, at least. Maybe it's not. I don't know if it's Blumhouse, actually. It could be. But, nevertheless, it's from the director of the remake of Friday the 13th and the remake of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and also the producers of Paranormal Activity and Insidious. So I went into it a bit skeptical, and what I got was actually a possession movie that was way better than most. This reminded me a lot of Night of the Demons as far as the premise goes. Definitely not quite as inventive or even so cheesy. It's definitely got some elements to it that make it like not so super serious, but do not let me fool you there. This is a particularly brutal film for a possession film. There's all sorts of horrible fucking brutal violence going on. And the acting's not terrible. The effects are pretty damn good. This is a fun ride. This is Exeter. You should definitely check this out. I think this is being slept on like big time right now. I don't see anybody talking about this, and this was a really fun film. Alright. Got a couple sci-fi things coming up here. Been watching a lot of sci-fi lately. This is probably one of the worst films I've ever seen, and yet, it was still a fun ride. In the vein of Airplane and all the Naked Gun movies and stuff, this is Naked Space with Leslie Nielsen. This is not by any means a very good movie, but still, if you're into really, really schlocky cheese fests, then you'll probably have a pretty good time with this. Like, it can't compare at all to films like Airplane or any of the other, great Leslie Nielsen parody films like Repossessed. But still, not bad at all. It's pretty funny at some parts, definitely worth checking out. Okay. Something from, I think, 1999 or 2000. I think this is a Canadian film. I didn't really know too much about this. I started doing some research after I watched it. And honestly, this is a ton of fun too. This is Laserhawk. It's got Mark Hamill in it. And who's the other guy? Oh, Jason James Richter. My cats are getting down right now. But this was a lot of fun. Kind of a, schlocky, like, it almost seems like a late 80s, early 90s film in the way, the atmosphere. And the casting and the wardrobe and everything. It's definitely oozing the early 90s vibe, but this was a ton of fun. The spider fucking creatures in this movie are totally creepier than hell. It's got some definite Star Wars ripoff, material in it as well, so it was a fun time. Laserhawk. Alright, this next one is something that I already have in a different edition, but I found this New Line Platinum series release of it, and I just had to scoop this up. My buddy Omar, who you guys may remember from a long time ago in my videos, he was Mr. Claw from the Claw Machine Monster channel. He'd managed to pick up the same edition, and it was really, really beat up. It's the remake of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Take that off there, it's just the outer sleeve. I'm going to open it up and show you all the cool stuff that's inside of it. This obviously is a super awesome remake. It's one of the best remakes I've ever seen, and it's something I don't watch, honestly, enough. So there we go. We'll get into this. There's a few things I'll show you after I show you the discs here. They're both in pretty pristine condition there, and you can see that the entire thing is a chainsaw, so that's pretty damn cool. And then there's some extra stuff in here. There's actually some stuff I'll be taking out and putting on display after I enter this. The first thing, I'm going to put this all down real quick so I can show you. We got this little evidence enclosed envelope in here. Take these out. There's some pretty dark exposure photography in here. Just kind of take you guys through it and show you real quick. Now the lighting's kind of bad, but it's really, really cool. On the back, there's like legitimate evidence card information on that. So that's really, really cool. Yeah, the mallet, and then some evidence bags. This one just looks kind of like some mold or something, I'm not really sure. Some glasses, I think that is. Somebody's eyelash and eyelid. That's pretty cool. And then the chainsaw. The lighting is just awful. So I'm going to fix that eventually too. So that was really cool to find this edition at a swap meet for $1, completely intact. There's nothing missing from it. The other thing I wanted to show you in this release that I thought was really cool is this little aluminum sign. I'm definitely going to be hanging this up. This is so fucking badass. I love this artwork, and I always have. So I'm going to definitely put this up somewhere back here. Really, really cool to find that it still had everything in the release. So that's why you go on the hunt. That's why you hit the swap meet once in a while, guys. So let me put this whole thing away. Want to lose anything. Alright, killer. We got quite a bit more to talk about here. Next up, I already had this. I might even have it twice before I even got this, but neither of the editions that I have will play. So, I had to pick it up one more time. This is the East Side Kids. Yeah, East Side Kids in Ghost on the Loose with Bela Lugosi. This is a total cheesy-ass, like, haunted house, Nazi espionage film from, I believe this is from, this is from 1943. So, very, very comedic, horror film still. Lots and lots of fun. This goes like a Scooby-Doo episode, basically. This is so much fun. Totally classic. Alright. Next up here, another pure classic. I've always had this film too, but I've never had it in a singular edition. It's not the best one. You can see how thin it is. This definitely came in a multi-pack at some point. But it's Jack Nicholson and Boris Karloff in The Terror from, I believe, 1963. This movie is fucking awesome. Some great special effects in it. Is the fantastic acting. It's unreal to see Jack Nicholson so young in this film and really not set in stone in his acting style, as of yet. So it's really awesome to finally find an actual just singular copy of this. It's not even opened yet. Another thing at the swap meet for $1. Totally cool. If you haven't seen The Terror, you need to do yourself a solid and just do that. Alright. As it goes, yet another thing that I already had. This is a double pack. I had Hatchet for the Honeymoon by Bava for the longest time. It's great giallo. I bought this for Anatomy of a Psycho recently at Record Alley before they went under. And today is actually their last day. I'm so bummed. They're finally just gone after today. But as it turns out, I bought it for Anatomy of a Psycho, and I already had that as well in this. This says, it says 9 movies on 3 DVDs, but it's actually 10 movies on 3 DVDs. And one of the films, oddly enough, is Anatomy of a Psycho. So I ended up watching that one twice. It's pretty fun. All of these are pretty much psycho thrillers. They're not straightforward horror films. I'll talk about pretty much all of them right now. So obviously Anatomy of a Psycho is on here. And then the first thing I watched was How Awful About Allan. This has got Anthony Perkins. Very strange role. Kind of a dry TV movie, but definitely a cool psycho thriller that's got some supernatural elements to it. It's very strange, but still lots of fun. And then we have Dementia 13, classic Francis Ford Coppola film with Luana Anders. And, you know, what's not to love about Dementia 13? That's just a total classic as well. Something that I've always owned as well. Then we have Maniac from 1934. I must own this film on like 5 or 6 different packs now. So this first disc on here, I bought it basically for How Awful About Allan, which was the only film I don't think I ever really heard of on here. I didn't really know about that one until I got this. And then there's The Screaming Skull. That's the last one on the first disc. Then the second disc we have The Killing Kind from 1973. Let me see here. This one is like... It's not nearly as good as the other ones. It's got John Savage in it. I believe that this is the one where it opens up with like a rape scene. They force John Savage's character to rape some girl. And he goes to prison for it, and he gets out, and he comes home to this super overly possessive mother, and as I'm sure you can guess where it goes from there. This was pretty fun too. I didn't really know about this film, and it turned out to be pretty much one of the best films in the pack. Had a ton of fun with The Killing Kind. And then the second one on the second disc is Anatomy of a Psycho. We already talked about that. My cat Claude wants out, so I'm going to let him out real quick. Go on, both of y'all. Get. Alright, where were we? And then the last film on that second disc is Tormented from 1960. I've had this film for a long time as well on a few different formats. It's in quite a few multi-packs that I've acquired over the years. So gave it a rewatch. Still totally classic. Tormented is awesome. And then the third disc has Craze. This one was pretty cool too. This is from 1974 with Jack Palance. And it's directed by Herman Cohen. Rated R. Like I said, 1974. This is a really, really beat up print. The transfer is just awful. You can't make out a lot of the dialogue because the soundtrack is just beat to shit. But still pretty fun. You know, pretty fun ending as well. It's not great or anything, but I liked it. Then we have Twisted Obsession with Jeff Goldblum from 1989. I'm really bummed because I wanted this film a lot also. You know, I bought this pack specifically for that film and How Awful About Allan. And I got most of the way into it, and it was pretty strange, gritty film. Not something that I ever even knew that Jeff Goldblum was in. And then, and maybe less than halfway through the film, the disc just said, nope, not going to play anymore. So I'm going to have to reacquire that and watch the whole film before I let you guys know my thoughts on it. The last one on this was also so good. The acting was so over the top, but it just worked. From 1963, it's got Arch Hall Jr. He plays this absolute fucking maniac. His acting is just, it's almost atrocious how over the top it was. And yeah, it was a total fun ride. That's The Sadist from 1963. So I'll let you guys take a look at the back here real quick. I don't know if it'll focus good enough so that you can read it. Doesn't look like it. That's awful. I can't stand the lighting and this camera, but it is what it is. Open it up. Got those discs in there. They got some cool artwork on them. The little foam pad to keep them separated. I love stuff like this. One of my favorite assemblings of films is just like this. It says it's a Gore House Greats or something. It's got tons of cheesy movies from the 60s and 70s and 80s. Whenever I find stuff like this, I just tend to pick it up. I think I got this at a pawn shop like maybe 7 or 8 months ago. This was a lot of fun to watch though and get through. I've actually been sitting on this for a long time, and within the last week or so I just put myself straight into it and watched everything on it. So, tons of fun. And that's pretty much it, guys. That was a long, big update. Got a lot of work to do before I get everything linked up tonight and get everything correct in the description so you guys can go back and take a look at what films I covered today down below here. Yeah, that's about it. So, hope you guys have enjoyed the background noise as usual. I love YouTube and all their free classic horror movies. So, yeah, go watch some horror films. Stay safe. Be good to yourselves and be good to others. And that's all I got for you guys. I'm going to be doing a music update and a new paperback horror book update soon. I'm going to try and get... I've been forcing myself to watch like all the special features in my Friday the 13th deluxe Blu-ray box set. So I'm going to be doing a comparative video with all my old editions and telling you guys what's on the new Blu-rays and, you know, my thoughts on everything. So I'm going to, you know, stay tuned for that. I got tons more stuff because we went to, like I said, some record shops and the swap meet. So there's tons of movies. Got another update coming for you, hopefully before February, if not very early February. I am going to be in Nevada, Las Vegas for about a week at the beginning of February as well. So we'll see how that affects how often I'm throwing some videos up here. But until the next thing I'm doing, I guess that's pretty much it. So everyone take care. Dual 666 out. Go watch some fucking horror movies, guys.